L'extra de temps Henri.
She's a snake crawling, creeping on the floor. If you give her time of day, baby, that's your first mistake. She will swallow you whole, for you know in your control by a sweetheart criminal. Never thought that she's a itty bitty spider with an itty bitty light. You should always sleep with one eye open. You better keep in mind to always look over your shoulder.
كنت السيما فايتة ولا كنت كنبغي نجرب واحد اوتو سيليكسيون في الليغ بيكيك شامب اوتوماتيك.
كنعقل فاش دخلت عندك اول مره ستريم كنت باغي ديرها فالورانت، درتي واحد
واه
قلتي لي بيطون، درتي سيليكسيونيتي الار جي بي ديال ار جي بي يكون زعما سبيسيفايد الايجنت ويبقى ما يشوفو مع يبيك.
كاين لقيت واحد ما خداش بار جي عرفتي صابها والله الا خاطر.
هذيك المره كنعقل واش صاد ديك الستريم مشيت كنقلب ديك الساعه كنقلب شي واحد دار هاد الفكره هادي، ديك الساعه ما كان لا جي بي تي لا والو. كتمشي كتقلب في جيت تقلب في ستاك اوفر فلو، تقلب في ذا كود بان.
واحد خينا هذا دارها بالاب بي اي ديال الليغ كيكونيكتا وكيعرف، ولكن ما كيبيكلك الشامب الله كي اكسبت الماتش. كتعرف شي مرات فاش كتكون لعب في الديسكورد كيعطيك راك في اللوبي وراك ان كيو ولا
اي رحت
هو
داك السيتات
صندوق
ديال
ال
داك
API واش؟
بليدز داك اوبجيكت، ما عرفت الصراحه كيفاش كيستعمل الاي بي اي ديال الليغ.
30 seconds until minions spawn.
Show me the path. Bring me a
انا كنجرب ستريم دابا أنا.
ناس
Minions have
درت
spawned.
ديك اللعبه تاع الطاق ما ديالهاش طالعه.
حسيت صيفط له الديسكورد ديك انت.
بداو غير الريد ونعطيك شوف داك الطاق واش طالع.
دو ايرلي كانك مين ارينو
my journey will only begin.
هي طالع داك الطاق نايس.
Adapt to all situations. Never settle for second. You got it. Every mistake.
First blood. An ally has been
هذاك
slain.
العافية.
Ally has been slain.
رينيكتون عنده واحد الطامج اللي ما يمكنش.
يا صح نشوف بلاي ستيشن.
style. Bring me a real challenge. Who questions my ability?
كتسمع الكيبورد والماوس ديالي فاش كان بحال هكا.
شي مرة ثانية.
دابا داير بوش توتال ما بغيتش دايرها حتى في ستريم لابس ما عطاش حتى
خدم عليه.
My place is at the top.
كتستريم او بي اس ولا ستريم لابس؟
هو بيس.
نايس. كتبقى تصاوب ديك
وصلت داك البارامتر اللي خدام عليه.
كل سين تصاوب ليها الانبوت اوتبوت ديالها. هاد ستريم لابس دارو فيه اول ان وان صافي داكشي سامبل كيعطيو ليك داكشي ديك
لا،
التيمات ديجا مقادين.
هو بيس كيما هي بحالها صاحبي. صرفتو
واش
كامل.
اوبن سورس هو كسوفتوير؟
اوبن سورس.
Never settle for second.
بزاف هاد الخيار. صون.
فيري
اوكي.
نايس. انا جالس كندور في هاد الماب هادي والله ما عرفت شنو كندير.
You got it. Show me the path. Every mistake is a lesson.
نايس. ناري هادي زيرو امباكت.
I got this. Bring me a real challenge.
اسكو.
كاينه ديك التورنوا دايرها ريوت جيمز دابا الميد لين واحد لاعب نوتيلوس واحد لاعب كراكاس.
ترى نوتيلوس صاحبي
فهمت شنو
يميت
طرا لي
ضايله
ميد؟
بزاف.
Who questions my ability?
راه شتي كاع دوك الجيمز اللي بنا الميد لين شويه.
سميتو لعبتي داك كابس.
ايه
شفت واحد الفيديو قال لك اصاحبي كيسبامي نوتيلوس ميت تطلع شالنجر هاد السيزون هاد.
My place is at the top. Is that all they've got?
اش دابا الدراري تبارك الله.
Never
An
settle.
enemy has been slain. Shut down.
Adapt to all situations.
هذاك باش هبط معايا.
You got it. Been waiting for this.
الى التي تنقتلوه.
عندي إلتان كما عنديش يقناز. نايس.
نديرو غير نزربو عليه.
My
Okay.
journey's only beginning.
مالي يا صو.
Put me to the test.
دير خذو خذو. ما عنديش باش نعاود.
Every mistake.
هكذا إقناز أنا صح. كوبا. القط. صاحبي اش كيدير يا صوصة وباك.
Just try to stop.
ما فارمي انا حتى شي حاجة.
Juju stop.
An enemy has been slain. Executed.
Bring me a real. My place is at the top.
عندك فوق.
Never settle for second.
يا راد ما نقدرش نستعملو. فارمي 50.
فوت كيعرف واش بزاف.
هادي قتلنا هاد خينا.
Adapt to all. My journey's only beginning.
An enemy has been slain. Killing spree.
ما عرفت هادي.
An enemy has been slain.
That all they
Nice. Let's go. Nice. ويلي اصاحبي هادشي كامل حيت بغينا مينيونز. اي
Every mistake is a lesson.
Your turret has been destroyed.
Never settle for second. Put me to the test.
Your team has destroyed a turret.
yes.
انا عندي كان
كانت
Adapt to all situations.
اش كيدير اصاحبي كزرات هلب
Page.
صاحبي كسراتو يزرا كان واقفين وين
خاص تبين قال لهم في عينيو يلاه يشوف.
Another day to lose control. There's a fire in
My journey's only beginning.
my sight gets blurry, like the tears. Take a leap of faith and face my fear. I blame it on the voice.
متكونش بغاو يديروا هيرو.
Who questions my ability?
Has destroyed a turret.
خذ
دي نمشي طوب ما نديرو طوب.
Show me the path.
Your team has destroyed a turret.
Bring me a real challenge.
Shut down.
I got this. Every mistake is a lesson.
Your turret has been destroyed. You have slain an enemy.
My place is at the top.
لا لا بس
Ally has been slain. Ally has been slain. An enemy has been slain.
دريك
my
دريك.
ability.
An enemy has been slain. An ally has been slain.
سير ما عندكش فلوس خسرني. كيتفا
راك بواتك بداك الميت. مشى نمشي ليه برج.
My journey's only beginning.
اسمي دينايتي.
رانك طنجي.
An enemy has been slain.
Yes. Nice one, bro.
Just try to stop. Every mistake is a lesson. Wuju style.
مش شايف كفا. يس.
My place is at the top.
Your team has destroyed a turret.
كرانك طم فوت مش بوجيتو.
All they've got? Put me to the test.
An enemy has been slain.
ايش الكوبك.
An ally has been slain.
Who questions my ability? My journey's only beginning.
An enemy has been slain.
Been waiting for this. never settle for second.
An enemy has been slain. Enemy killing spree.
Just try to stop.
Your team has destroyed a turret. Your team has destroyed a turret.
واو زرين.
Shut down.
Is that all they've got?
ساليت في الجيم.
فوك ات يا صاحبي، فوك ات فوك ات فوك ات.
Bring me a real challenge.
Shut down.
ويلي لك يا صاحبي، فوك ات. ويلي عطيتهم شطة ديال 300. فوك ات يا صاحبي. Gazaro, you have ulti, my friend.
My place is at the top.
هذه عنده وهي عنده. طب
Adapt to all situations.
An enemy has been slain.
Been waiting for this.
ناس تاع كلشي دريكس ناس.
Who questions my ability?
صافي كيفاش يلاه درنا البلاك.
Enemy double kill.
My journey's only beginning.
غادي نبارو. اجي فوك ات فوك ات. نايس.
Enemy has been slain. Aced.
Every mistake.
An enemy has been slain.
ترى كيف رسم شي فايطات فاش كاين.
Enemy double kill.
Searching for the quiet that you need to breathe. Give up on your sanity.
My place is at the top.
Behind your shadow while you try to take the sun down. To never change you gold. After thinking that you're in the world alone. No one ever told you that you'll have to fight for something, or you'll never learn to balance. It's too
You got it. Never settle for second. My journey's only beginning. Show me the path.
Rampage. An enemy has been slain. Rampage.
ساتر.
Put me to the test.
ترى لا.
Your team has destroyed a turret.
Questions my ability.
ستمية جولد بونت.
My place is at the top.
An enemy has been slain. An enemy has been slain.
Never settle for
خلاوني جالس على نركب. تفك وصل نركب.
just try to stop.
شو قادر يزرق من ده؟
The enemy's inhibitor is respawning soon.
وات طلعتي ليفل 18
وقيت ضعيف كفار.
الصباح انا
The enemy's inhibitor is respawning soon.
تقدر تعيل شي لوكس ناس لعبتها.
Show me the path.
An enemy has been slain.
نايس ون.
An ally has been slain.
تشيز.
صراحة عذبني في اللعبة صاحبي رياكت.
قلت نعطيك اللين ديال تويتش.
وصفنا الديسكورد. وصفنا الديسكورد.
ديسكورد
عندك ديسكورد؟
هو عندي،
ديسكورد
ولكن
فوق هذا تحت.
ما كنلاقي الا لعبت وحليت وكنلاقي بزاف.
ويلي
عندي 8 شيكارة مسكينة دايرة هادشي كامل.
راك معدي على الفيس.
لا إلا الحروبات تشوف تلقى في
غنصيفط لك غير البارامتر ديال اللي داير انا في اوفيس.
هي تكون مزيانة. حيت انا مشيت عشت في يوتيوب كنستريمي ب 60 اف بي اس شوية في شكل. انت قلت حتى تلقى فيه ديال الهاردوير. الهاردوير جاي اخا زعما خردة وكذا، ولكن راه خدمت به شي حوايج
والله
تقال
لا.
في افتر افكت وكذا، خدمت بهم شي حوايج تقال.
والله الا مزيان. ودابا لاعب لك اياهم في ستريمو. يعطيك الصحة. اجي واش اورانج اللي عندك واش اديسل؟
فيبر اوبتيك.
مزيان نايس.
داك المره قلت فاش كنت سولتك على الفيبر قلت لك راه دير صافي دخل ديال اورانج. كان دايرين داروا داك الاوفر جديد ديال 20 ميغا ب 250 درهم.
مزيان اصاحبي الله يلا ناضي اصاحبي احسن حاجه في بروبتي. انا غير دابا هنا في المدينه فاش اصرو هنا ما كاينش ديال اورانج انو زعما داروش.
راه ميم هنا في اكادير راه شي بلايص راه ما وصلوا.
صاحبي والاتصالات اللي كاينه ماشي درتها ديال 100 مليون.
اتصالات لك الصراحه اتصالات
وفي هذا
زوينة،
الروتور
خصك
نيت ديال الاتصالات اش تيقولك داك الروتور اللي عطاك ديال اورانج كاينه فيه اوبسيون ديال الترو ديمارا بوحديتها.
فيه
لا
ديال
ما
هواوي
فيهش.
فيه. كاين نورمالمون في يوتيوب كتدخل يوتيوب حيت كيكتبوا لك هما الموديل في التحت ديال الروتر، السميه ديالو الموديل ديالو كدير فيها في يوتيوب راه يطلع لك بنان ديجا دار هاد اللعيبه. وزعما راه باينه دخل داك الجيت
في
واي
اورانج ما
ديالو
بغاش زعما في الاتصالات قلبت فيه.
على حساب الروتر ماشي زعما على حساب الروتر اللي يعطوك. ميم انت دير الروتر ديالك هادشي كيديروا بزاف الناس كيفاش
لا ولكن ماشي الروتور ديالي دابا بغيت انا باش تغيانساليزا داك الاي بي.
نورمالمون هذيك كتريزيتي.
فهمتي غير باش تفوت عليك يعطيك اي بي جديد.
هادي الصراحه ما جربتها.
شي مرات كيتبروك ولا صعيبه او بي اس فاش كنستريم كتبروك خصك
صح
تفوت شحال شي 3 مرات ولا 4 وفي الجيم ودابا او بي اس حمر وفاش كتدخل الجيم حتى ليك البينغ عاد مزيان
حتى ديك الساعه دار عليا كنت كندير في ديسكورد وكيطلع لي 1000 كنقول واه شنو طار. فاش كندخل تويتش كدا كنتفرج زعما عادي 1080 بي 60 بي اس عادي. ديسكورد بدا يطلع يهبط غير هو هاد البلان تكونفيكيري زعما فوقاش يطفى هادشي الجيت واي ديال السيت تقدر دير فيه داكشي.
Is the greatest enemy.
سيفير كيردوها ونضوفها
نعم
سيفير
واش سيفر
هادشي كنشوف
واش كنقول واش السكين ما يمكنش وات
فهمتي مغربي يا
داروا شي ريميك ولا
هادشي كنشوف حيت واحد لابديت اش قلت لك كنشوف ما قرأتش الصراحه باتش نوت كاع ما تسوقت ليهم. على تيم كومباندو مبارك
ويلي ما يكونش طبقة ممكنش سبور ما يمكنش ممكن نسيب ميت نايس ايرلي ايزي طب
وقال ايرلي ميد نكملوا مقاطع بعد
لا لا ممكنش
فريندلي تقدر اسيستيو 40 دقيقة كاينة بلاصة
Welcome to Summoner's
صح
Rift. 30 seconds until minions spawn.
جميل فوري جرام كومباني جرام استقرارات قادشة في تستكشف مجلس دعم شبكة مصر سكونات تنسق سنبطان وباقي مصر وشبكة صومينز بقيت لزيف مئة أخرى 2 seconds. أول مرة كنلعب بهاد الحمراء هادي جميل.
نايس. ممكنش غادي كاين هنا واش مشافكه
تصورت جالس كيقلب شي مسيكة في يوتيوب ولا شي حاجة.
ما تشوف صعب كل شيء واطلع الليفل ده يا الله عليك.
First blood. An ally has been slain.
انا ما يعرفش مالي مع الثور. كي حتى هادي هنا نرجع للور. ممكنش كاعش يقصر ممكنش شحال من واحد كيس كاع ما غاديش يعاود يجي كيك. لو
كيفورسي لا كاري متخيل تفورسي كاع لا كاري.
سكيل كيو.
An enemy has been slain.
دابا طلعت. What the fuck? يا صاحبي على فيكتور.
ما كنت مصطفى.
Nice one. يا ترى فور. نجي ما عرفتش يقدر ينقذ. يا صاحبي that was fucking better. Okay. Fuck it, صاحبي التصوير. unlucky. صاحبي ما كانش على فيكتور يجي.
خازك يجيني بوب.
Nice one. Well played.
An enemy has been slain. Shut down.
Nice. Nice one. Well played.
نايس.
كودري.
ثاني اللي شو من هذا.
Rampage.
Nice one.
نايس.
Free Herald.
Has destroyed a turret. Your team has destroyed a turret. An enemy has been slain. Killing spree. Your team has destroyed a turret. Your team has destroyed a turret.
What?
تشيتشيس.
That was fast.
واو على استيميتد 5 دقائق. ديد جيم.
والله لا كنقلب على داك في الكتاب ما لقيتش صاحبي حتى شريت انا في شي زيك ديال واحد السكريبت كتب واحد ديال هذاك اوتو اكسبت ماتش
ايه
صيفطوك عرفتي فاش كان صاحبي درت مع فيسبوك ممكن كولومبي ولا
واش بايثون ولا
عرفتي بغيت باش كتبت باش كتبوا
الليك نيت.
واه عندك ديسكورد صيفطوك
ايه
وصلت لك الديسكورد ديال كان كنقلب على صاحبي وانا تيليشارجيت داك في جيتهاب ما لقيت عندي فيه شي انا بايثون ولكن
انا في جيت فيما كتب لي تجرب شكل كان ديال ستار كان ستار
كيف كديرها فافور
ديك ستار اللي درتيها كتمشي لواحد الكاتيجوري ديال الا كان شي ريبوزيتوري كيتسمى ريبوزيتوريز اللي انت داير لهم ستار، كيتسموا ستار ريبوزيتوريز، كتلقى فيها كاع داكشي اللي كاين. ولا كاع كنتي زعما باغي تانديك داكشي كل حاجه تعطي ليها الليبل ديالها. صيفط لك في ديسكورد.
اوكي
هادشي كامل
المسار
في
ما
8
تمشيش
كيلو
ما
وايت.
بقيتوش. ولكن عرفتي كيفاش كتبوا راه في شكال صح كنسحب زعما واش غادي ديك زي كولور ولا شي حاجه. خلاص كان هو كاتبو اسبانيوليه ولا برتغاليه، بقيت كندير جوجل ترانسليت عاد بدلت دوك اللعبات ديال ان لوبي ان سيرشين فور جيم عندي. شطرت معاه قال لي 3 ايام وانا كنكوضي فيه، بغيت نقول ليه زيد شي اوبسيون ديال البيكي شامب، حيت صعيبه الله هنا في هاد الابي اي الله كيجيب لك راك ان كي وصافي. واش خصك حتى تجربها قبل، كتمشي غير لوبي ما كتكليكي على والو وكتحل داك اللوجيسيال باش كيتحل هذاك باش كيتحل داك البروغرام كتكليكي على سيرش فور جيم اوكي اكسبت الجيم اوتوماتيك. باش زوين عنده واحد وايل تما ما كتاخدش لي ريسورس في البيسي صافي، غير كتاكتيفي انفو كيطلع لك شي بوطون ديال اكسبت كليكي بوحدو على اكسبت كدير غير اكسبت. كنقلب دابا على داك يوتيوب هادشي واش مضيفه فيه شي حاجه هو
So you wanna be my enemy? You should've known I'd never kiss the rain. Ice runs in my veins. Won't play it safe. I don't belong with your nobility. Who died and made you king of anything? You think that I'm insane? It's your mistake. Kingdoms rise and fall upon the table.
دابا فاش تطلع داك الماتش ناكتيفي البرو ندير داك لابليكاسيون.
تلقى راه اكسبت ما اكسبتش شتي فاش تكون ان كيو ولونسي وخليه صافي غير ما تفرميش اكسبت.
كيطلع داك
عرفتي باش
السيف
زعما
انت
كيأكسبت
كيدير
في
كيطلع
البلاصة.
داك بوزو تبقى ما
ماشي
حليتو
كيتسنى عاد يقلب على
ما
الكولور لا
حليتو هي اكسبتي.
وصافي كتخليه دايما محلول او كيدا وغادي يطلع لك تما كاتب لوكين فور جيم. راه ترجمت داك الهضره اللي كاتب تما راه كانت بلونغ بالسبليونيه. تلقى واحد ان روم ان لوبي كان على الصحه جوجل ترانسليت. كنت كنفكر في شي طريقه بلا ما يديتيكتي الكولور ديال البوطون ولا شي حاجه يكتب لك سميت الشامب داكو انستالوكي.
اخونا ما تسالوش، خونا معلم داير داكشي تاع التريدز كدا حل البروسيسي كامل.
ترى ما جاتي غير ديال ديتيكتي كولور ولا حيت فاش كديتيكتي على حساب الكليان
الكود خصو جي بي تي
والله.
لا خصو جي بي تي فهمتي، ولكن فهمت هذاك
دابا
الوضع
كتبت جي بي تي كتب لي شي حاجه بدا قالك ما يمكنش اوتوماتيشن ولا سميتها الليغال. ما عقلتش منين جبتو في كيتيب هذا، حيت جرب شحال من واحد ما صدقوش هذا خدم. كاتب ماي سونغ.
Is the greatest enemy.
انت انا باش يطلع لي كتبت لون مين جيت والو باش يطلع.
والو لقيتو صيفط لي اليوم ملي جبتو.
دير هنا فيك بان يوان انستالوك يومي. صراحة فكرة هاد البلان ديال شي يو اي يكون شويه زوين، كي اكسبتي ليك الماتش وكتعطي ليه الشامبيون اللي باغي تختار وكيدير لك هادشي كامل وتبقى.
اجي نقول ما عرفتش سميتو واحد اللوجيسيال سميتو اوتو ايت، كيكليكي لك بلا سوري كلافي،
ايه
ولكن محدد اوتو ايت اللي فهمتو
Yeah.
بحال اوتو هوتكي، ولا ما عمري جربت انا اوتو هوتكي، ولكن نفس البرانسيب ديالو.
كتعطي لي نورمالمون واحد الايفنت مثلا طرات شي بلان بلاص ما يتسنى اليوزر اللي يدير شي عيبه في الكيبورد لا سوري هو كيديرها حتى كنت انا كنقلب
تقول له
وطلع
بريس هاد البوطون بريس.
كي كتبيكي يومي بسوري انت ما كتحركش السوري هو كيبيكيها.
اي كيحرك، غير هو محدود فيه لي زوبسيون. واخا داكشي والله الا صوت فيها صاحبي ديال مشيت للفوتوشوب ديتيكتيت هذاك ديال الجانجل وهذاك ديال الطوبو، كيعرفاش من بلاصه على حساب داك اللون اللي مكتوب اللي كاتبين في السميه سيبور ولا طوبو.
ايه نايس.
عطات لواحد 3 د السميات ديال الطوب و 3 د السميات ديال الجانجل و 3 د السميات، وقلت لي لا تبانا واحد فيهم سير كليك على الاخر. والله لا ولكن ما زوين جا، بقيت كنخدم على بهي كولور هادي كولور وهادي كولور، ما كيبغيش يخدم تقلع فين كاين المشكل.
وو على تيم عندهم تمام كامل
كان الطوب نايس.
كامل نورمالمون كتفرع كاري هذاك الترو دا ماشي ما يمكنش.
ما داش نشدها كاع مشي.
راه ما كنلقى ما يدير، كنبقى ندخل الكتاب كنبقى كنشارجي سكريبتات العباد الله.
والله
هذا كنت لقيت واحد السكريبت فاش ديك الساعه ما كنمشي للبي اف، واحد السكريبت كيستعمل الاي بي اي ديال تويتش وكيعطيك تفرج في لي شانيل كيقسم بحال هكا ليكرون كيدير لك ثلاثة لتحت، وانت فاش كتهوفري على شي اكرون كتجي الوسط وكيتستفو، وهادشي كامل راه ب اتش تي ام ال سي اس اس و جافا سكريبت. عرفتي واحد الكود راه ما يمكنش راه واعر. سميتو تويتش ملتي ستريم ولا شي لعبه بحال هكا نسيت.
Today is a good day to die.
Welcome to Summoner's Rift. Thirty seconds until minions spawn.
Je يجيبوها الماكلة
هاد
صاحبي.
ريميكي
لو
كاين
شراكة.
يمكن. لا هاي اللي كان
تصوروك مشي مشي ديال
سكيلز. هذاك وارونغ داك ايكو.
No quarter for the win.
نجي نايس وان برو. نايس 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 ويل بيد.
ضربطو بيتنا.
Bring me straight to the edge. 'Cause I wanna dive in.
Find me
It's like
greater
I'm
foes.
falling and I'm running out of air. And I don't want it to end. So would you lay down for me? You got me begging you pretty please.
Who dares
You
defy
got
my
a
will?
tough love to keep, but I'm begging you on my knees. Oh, I just want you to want me so much that you can't help yourself.
Today is a good day to die.
Need you to need me enough. You don't need no one else.
Brothers and sisters.
Letting you in's kinda hard. So don't you dare break my heart. Always a trouble giving into inhibition, but with you it's kinda.
An enemy has been slain.
So would you lay down for me? You got me begging you pretty
The
please.
faithful.
You got a tough love to keep, but I'm begging you on my knees. Oh, I just want you to want me so much that you can't help yourself.
And forever.
Oh, I just need you to need me enough. You don't need no one else.
مش هادرك.
We shall rest when we are dead.
Feel like I could follow you anywhere, then you'd be all about it.
كلش من
Find me greater foes.
My side and the wrong side. An enemy has been slain.
قرعت عندي. مش هادرك.
10,000 واحد تماك. تمام.
Who dares defy my will?
صافي لا ما تكون تسترس.
Today is a good day to die. Brothers and sisters. Protect the faithful. Righteous retribution. Demacia, now and forever. For my father, the king.
صاحبي على فلاش. الله كي
ضايفين.
ما عنديش إلتي، ما عنديش إلتي. سودي عليك أصحابي.
خديتي
أكيد.
عقرة.
Has been slain.
Find me greater foes.
شو بغيت تبادل معاك هذا الليل ولا شنو؟
ما عرفتش كندير.
Who dares defy my will? Today is a good day.
Has been slain.
Stand with me, brothers and sisters.
مسيرة صعبة اش كدير.
An enemy has been slain.
Protect the faithful.
ايكو طالع عندكم.
Your team has destroyed a turret.
وراك موت. حتى باش يسلم.
For my father, the king.
نتورنيو اليوم نتورنيو.
مم. ما تخليش غير يزر يزيد.
An enemy has been slain. Your team has destroyed a turret.
Rest when we are dead.
An enemy has been slain.
كلها فلاشة.
Double kill.
Find me greater.
فين دخلتها اليوم تبارك الله.
Rampage.
سيفر صاحبي ريميوك. ريميك ربي.
ريميكا هو
ريميك.
اللي خلاو سبيلز. ما كاع شنو نسيت باش ترجع تسيفي.
Has destroyed a turret.
تيقي ديما انت هذيك ولا البيضة كاع
But to do and die. Who dares defy my will? The day is a good day to die. Righteous retribution.
Slain an enemy.
تيجا عندي مروك.
ورك بقى بقات قتلت كامل بقى فيه الحال.
And I can barely see while the light goes under, waiting for a wonder. And I can barely see while the light goes
An
under.
enemy has been slain.
انت داير ستريم باصي على السي بي يو ولا على الجي بي يو؟
لا جي بي يو.
انا دايرو على السي بي يو. الجي بي يو راه كتكفيني في اللعب.
واش ماشي بي سبورتابل عندك؟
لا لا ديسكتوب.
اش من جي بي يو اللي عندك انت؟
جي تي اكس 1050 2 جيجا.
انا 1600 راه بحال بحال.
لا ديك تي اي 4 جيجا فيرا.
زعما اللي جيت تشوف راه 1000 وشي حاجه راه كاملين بحال بحال.
اي بيان سير راه كيختلفوا زعما في السبيد ديال الرام ديالهم داك الفيرام.
لا زعما
راه
انا زعما
البي سي كاين
عرفتني
ب 3000 درهم.
مزيان غريبة. دابا انا حتى في الجيم هنا راه داير كلشي فيريلو.
كدير فيري لا وحيد باش ما يطرش داك البلان ديال باش شويه كتصعب ولا الانيماسيون الجيم براسها كدير شي بلان في الشكل واخا يكون عندك زعما هاردوير مزيان.
لا 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 يا راه جو فريند. من جميل.
Your team has destroyed a turret. Unstoppable.
دخلنا عليه وسط الدار الكابينه ديال الدار.
Your team has destroyed a turret.
Is but to do and die. Righteous retribution. Find me right.
هاك المرضين حتى فين ثلاثة داك الطوب في الشجرة.
Shut down.
أربعة الناس.
واحد الكلب 4 صافي طب.
Today is a good day to die.
فاكي صافي. اش كدير سيفر وات كوادرا جو بنتا.
Has slain an enemy.
Check this out. Topple their forces.
Your team has destroyed a turret. An enemy has been
السلام
slain.
عليكم.
Protect the faith.
Your team has destroyed a turret. Your team has destroyed a turret.
جا سوري. يا كوبا كوبا
Shut down.
كوبا 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 كوبا. غادي نمشيو برا.
An ally has been slain.
شنو عندي؟
يلا كم مرة تبع عاتب.
بس بس
ما عليك.
جي جيز.
جيم ساعة زعما طحنا في دوك الجيمات ديال شي ميد لين فاش.
هاد الحديث ديال البارحة صح. داك ياس ولا وات.
هذيك ديال يا صواري خاصك مونطال ديالها.
ترى البارحة صاحبي راه خسرنا ما سميتو ربحنا الجيم واخا كان فيدي.
كانت محصورة 100.
وزاد عقلت على داك زاد.
داك زاد انا كاع
هي فين شنو الماتش شنو لي ستوري.
واش هذيك ديالي كان فيها خونا سيلفروان ياك؟
اي ما
لا لا تاع ياسو كانت فيها
دازت 3-19 هو هذا.
مزيان شو
راه ربحتي فين حتى 11 ربع. هذاك تلعب جربة. هذيك ما يمكنش.
لا دير بحنايا ديال ياسو اللي خسرنا ديال ياسو. اي كنت لعب ايكو ديك ري كانت سيلفرون كانت في البرومو. مازال في البرومو نيت.
نايس.
اخر جيم هي هذيك. اخر جيم ديال خونا هي باش تعدى عليهم. هذا الماتش ملي كان هكا كيشوفوك ربحتي شويه
لا أصلي كيديروك 50%.
كيحطوا
شي
لك
كنعرف
شي
فيه.
ناس بحال داكاري راه كان كيلعب مزيان ديال المقام.
اخويا هاد الجيم راه خصك تكاري التيميت راه صعيب تكاري.
عندك اشو دابا هادشي هاد السكريبت اللي عطيتيني هادشي ديال الاوتوماتيزاسيون باقي فيه ما يدار. باقي
اه
ولكن
شجاع
صعيب
برو.
صعيب شويه.
شفت انا هذا مستعجل جدا، مرة من الاساتذة موافاتي بهذا الطبع. سمع مرة واحدة
ايه
شي تخربيقات. عرفتي شنو رقص هاد الجيم؟ قال لك شحال من الفرص اللي دوزتي، وكان شي نقاط خصنا ندخلهم في مسار، خص عليهم
صافي واش
النظر.
تاخذ الطور
واحد
ولا؟
الساعة لما كان ايفكا.
ايه صافي واحد الساعه مشى نتفرج على يوتيوب.
يا نسر الله. قال لك هاد العشية غادي يعطيهم شي مفتشين غادي يجيو عندهم.
ديك اللجنه هذه ديك الليسته اللي كنت فيها ديما، ديك اللجنه الاقليميه جايه غاديه.
دست على الراس صاحبي عطلة. وانا دابا كاين واحد الفرد الاول مازال ما دخلتش الفرد الاول.
لا كان عليك تسرب. حنا فاش كنت
وي.
هذيك السيمانه مع ديك الاستاذ لافومون ديك سالينا داكشي. دابا انا راه قرب يسالي لي عام كاع صحاب الباك
وي يا صاحبي
بداو
عرفتك.
كيعيطوا لينا باش نمشيو داكشي ديال الباك خلاص.
راه خص واحد الفرد الاول مازال ما دخلوش ماسك النقاط.
الخدمه هي اللوم. يلاه واحد ساعه
واحد الساعة لما كان
انا
هكا.
مستريمي لقيتني والله راه يمكن مرة تقصر.
كان نكتب لك تما، انا نكتب لك تما ولا نشوف كنا في الجيم اللي تسمع.
يلا ساعه.
It is May 2nd, 2023, and you're watching the Code Report. It is May 2nd, 2023, and you're watching the Code Report. If you haven't deployed an app to production at 4:59 p.m. on Friday that accidentally deletes a production database, causing your entire team to work all weekend while the company loses $1 billion on its market cap, while you go fishing and get fired on Monday, you haven't really lived. Developers are terrified of screwing things up when deploying apps, which is why platforms like Vercel, Netlify, Heroku, and Firebase are incredibly popular. When your boss says,
all you gotta do is not up,
the obvious solution is to use a platform to handle deployment for you. Vercel is the platform of choice for Next.js deployments, but the one big thing it's missing is a database. Well, not anymore. Just yesterday, Vercel announced not 1, not 2, not 3, but 4 new databases. Everybody in tech wants to sell you a fully managed database. It's a huge multi-billion-dollar industry with tons of competition in the startup ecosystem, and rightfully so, because managing a database is extremely difficult, and if you screw things up, it's game over. Let's see what Vercel has to offer. In my opinion, the most exciting new option is Vercel Postgres,
serverless SQL for the front-end cloud,
which is an SQL database powered by Neon. Neon is an awesome product, and coincidentally, I used it when building my new Next.js 13 course, which is now available to Fireship Pro members if you want to learn all about it. What's nice about this database is that it scales automatically, it's fault tolerant, and has a nice UI that's just easy to work with. Basically, all you do is click a button, add your database connection link to the environment, and then you can start writing raw SQL code directly in a server component with Next.js. It also integrates nicely with libraries like Kisely, and my personal favorite, Prisma. While Neon is definitely awesome as a building block, it's still quite a ways behind tools like Supabase that have a really advanced UI, where you can do row-level security, procedures, and a bunch of other stuff. We've also done a full course on Supabase, but I don't think Vercel is going for that full backend as a service approach. I think they want to be more of a front-end cloud that provides you with a bunch of different infrastructure options. One funny side note for Next.js users is that in the blog post, it looks like they leaked the details for a new API called Server Actions. Apparently that'll be announced Thursday, but basically it looks like you can create server functions alongside your components to handle form submissions without needing to create API routes. This is an awesome feature, and I'm glad to see that Next is finally stealing it from Remix. But now let's check out database number 2, Vercel KV, a key value store like Redis based on Upstash. Key value databases are extremely easy to use, but more importantly, they're extremely fast because unlike most databases, the data is held in memory instead of on the disk. Well, it is stored on disk as well, but because it's also in memory, you get extremely fast reads, making it ideal as a cache for your data. Database number 3 is edge config, which allows you to distribute configuration variables across the edge network, providing virtually instant reads for things like feature flags if you do A/B testing, or if you have a list of malicious IPs, you could store them on the edge and then use Next.js middleware to block those requests. And finally, that brings us to database number 4, Vercel Blob. It's based on Cloudflare R2, which allows you to store large amounts of unstructured data, like images and PDF files, on the edge. In other words, it's a replacement for storage buckets like S3, and that could be a game changer if your app does file uploads. The SDK is incredibly simple. All you do is await a call to put with the file that you want to upload, and it returns you with a download URL. That's pretty awesome, but one limitation currently is that the max file upload size is 4 megabytes. However, that should increase after the beta phase. Vercel gets a lot of attention, but what you might have missed is that Dino also just released its own global key value database. It's based on FoundationDB, which is developed by Apple, and is extremely fast while also supporting consistency and ACID transactions, and the API is incredibly easy to use with zero setup. Choosing a database in 2023 is harder than ever. If you thought the JavaScript framework war was bad, it's nothing compared to the database war, where companies have billions of dollars at stake, all competing to store your data. This has been the Code Report. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next one.
The U.S. government seized First Republic Bank on May 1st and struck a deal to sell the bulk of its operations to J.P. Morgan. Regulators hope the move will head off a chaotic collapse that could reignite the banking crisis.
No way.
Ben Eisen covers banking and finance for the Journal. He explains how First Republic became the second largest bank to fail in the U.S. and what it means for customers, investors, and the industry.
First Republic had this business model that was just sort of perfectly built for a certain time period. When interest rates were really low, the bank collected a lot of deposits, made a lot of mortgages. But when rates suddenly shifted last year, the bank's business model started to look a little bit more precarious. After Silicon Valley Bank and Signature failed in March, everyone pretty much immediately started looking to First Republic as the next risky bank in the system. Silicon Valley Bank and First Republic, they had similar enough client bases and similar enough risks and problems that investors and customers and really anyone eyeing this banking crisis started to kind of lump them together. Some of the biggest banks collected $30 billion worth of their own money and they deposited it at First Republic Bank, basically trying to make up for the deposits that customers had pulled. It was helpful for a day, but it didn't stop the panic. Coming into April 24th, First Republic was already in a pretty bad spot. After the bank released its earnings and really didn't impress people with what it showed, you had this period of time where the stock was falling really rapidly. There was a sense that this bank was increasingly at risk of being seized. Early in the morning of May 1st, an announcement came out that JP Morgan would be buying First Republic Bank. This was a deal that was orchestrated by the Federal Deposit Insurance Corp. When the FDIC conducts this process to sell a bank that it's seizing, it's basically looking for the best bid. And in the deal, JP Morgan will be taking on some $92 billion in deposits from First Republic, buying a lot of assets, including the bank's loans and bonds. Shareholders will get wiped out. This is a deal that will effectively allow First Republic to live on as a part of JP Morgan.
Let me be very clear. While depositors are being protected, shareholders are losing their investments. And critically, taxpayers are not the ones that are on the hook.
The resolution for First Republic appears to be the end of this stage of the banking crisis. That said, the problems that kind of led to this crisis haven't necessarily been resolved. Interest rates rose really quickly. The value of assets on banks' balance sheets fell a lot. It doesn't appear that anything's imminent at this moment, but I think a lot of people would be hesitant to say this is over.
Stealthy is a very funny and very clumsy dude. He times travel and has the most incredible adventure. And he is sort of an alter ego of myself, although physically we are completely different. Originally, I started this project as a way to showcase the potential of Stable Diffusion combined with good artist skills. My goal was to capture a scene where Stealthy engages in a boxing match with Muhammad Ali. I always start with, drawing a sketch. Stable Diffusion and the other diffusion models around are extremely good, but also extremely cheeky. It's very easy for them to drive you away from the original idea that you had. Once I have the idea, I want to try a bunch of random prompts just to see if I can find at least a good initial pose. I couldn't find the pose for Stealthy on the right. So what I've done is that I moved to Photoshop and I recreate the pose myself. Controlnet is an extension. If I had to reproduce today the same pose that I've done 2 months ago with this artwork, probably would take me 15 minutes. And throughout the whole process, I always use different samplers because the sampler is very important in terms of realism and details. So if you're trying to replicate skin, Euler is very synthetic, is very fake. But DPM, for example, is working great on that. There are many parameters that are extremely important. One is steps. So steps is how many times you're telling Stable Diffusion to work on your prompt. You can choose a very low number or a very high number. Many options. At the beginning, obviously, the two most important parts are the in-paint and the out-paint. So in-paint means you are asking the machine to change just a part of the image, and the machine will change only the part that you want it to be changed. On the other side, out-paint, you're asking to the machine to imagine what's outside the box based on what is already in the box. As you can see, I look back a lot between Stable Diffusion and Photoshop. So let's say that out of 100%, 50% is done on Stable Diffusion, about 40% in Photoshop, and about 10% in Procreate. When it comes to Stealthy Face, I use a model that has been trained specifically on Stealthy Face. So what I've done previously is that I created Stealthy in 3D, and I took a bunch of snapshots of his face from different angles, and I used those images to train the model. So when you train the model, you save a keyword. The noise trunk is the last probably option that you can see in the web UIs of Stable Diffusion. And why is important? Because it gives you more or less control on the image itself. When it comes to faces, it's very difficult to achieve good results, especially if you're trying to replicate a popular person. So I've asked Stable Diffusion to make a face that would look like Muhammad Ali, and then in Photoshop I warped all his traits, so I make the nose, I don't know, larger or thinner, and the jaw, the eyes, teeth, so I changed everything manually. But what is important now is to try to have the pose that is correct, and I wanted Stealthy to be like a bit fluffy in terms of not super fit and without a six-pack, and probably here I sort of found the belly that I was happy with, but it just clearly was not realistic enough yet. And then I used the result and I modified the result in Photoshop, but my understanding of how Muhammad Ali was looking like. So you have to, and crop and cut and paste and change and warp and paint on top, reharmonize, exposure, skin tone, so a lot of stuff. So here I was about halfway done. But then eventually, if you're running into trouble, even if you're not super precise, you can, go back into Stable Diffusion and try to ask Stable Diffusion to help you, just maybe on some part of some edges, or with the lighting, or with the skin, this sort of stuff. Still, the body of Muhammad Ali is not correct. He wasn't buffed like the athletes are today. He was big and healthy, but yeah, not like this muscle that they have today, very defined. And so I wanted to get the real and the realistic Muhammad Ali physique. Here we are in a good position because probably we are 12 or 14 hours in. And as you can see, the scene is set, so it's all good to go. You just need to make it better. Well, here probably they don't like nipples.
A 5-part series that tells the true story of how Nixon's own political saboteurs and Watergate masterminds in Howard Hunt and John Kennedy accidentally told the presidency they were trying to protect.
Who knows? The nipples period of Stealthy. Before December, which is when Stealthy was born, I was going to bed and I was dreaming about beautiful ladies. Now, all that I dream about is a bald 41 years old dude. So, no great, not great. Well, I feel you have to drive the machine, not the other way around. And just to prove how important is the artist part in the overall process creation. I see the overall process as a joint effort with the AI. I've been a traditional artist for 2 decades, painting on canvas, and in the last 5 years I've been doing a lot of digital art. So from that part of myself, I don't feel threatened at all. I feel this is an opportunity for many new talented people to jump on a new branch of art that is completely different from the one that we have already into digital art. It just open up new way of being creative. "50% of the hands that you see in Stealthy are mine. And that's because it has always been extremely challenging to reproduce hands. So what I was doing is that, if I needed the hand in some position, I would take a picture of my hand and then I would clean it up and paste it on top.
At the table right.
Have you ever taken your shiny new graphics card home only to be disappointed at how you can't turn the settings up as far as you want in some hyped up AAA game? It turns out that in many cases, this isn't because the GPU is underpowered. Instead, you might not have enough video memory, or the amount you do have might just be too slow. But the next generation of VRAM, GDDR7, promises to help alleviate some of these issues with never before seen bandwidth. This is a big deal because of the rapidly increasing demands being put on gaming PCs, where the high-resolution textures and complex visual effects of big-name titles can overload all but the highest-end hardware, meaning you need enough high-speed VRAM to hold all that data that the GPU is being asked to process. In fact, one of the more common gripes from folks who bought the RTX 3070, an upper-tier GPU, was that it only came with 8 gigabytes of VRAM, resulting in performance issues and graphical glitches in games that the GPU itself could probably have handled. Enter GDDR7, which is expected to bring us a huge bump in memory bandwidth without sucking down more power, which is great news for those who just want to turn up the settings but are already fighting the rising power draws of newer gen graphics cards. We're talking 36 gigabits per second per pin. Once you translate this into a card with a 256-bit wide memory bus, that is a full 1.15 terabytes per second of throughput. To put that into perspective, the RTX 4080 only has around 700 gigabytes per second of memory bandwidth, so all that extra space in the pipe could help demanding titles even without adding more actual VRAM. But what exactly is the secret sauce that allows GDDR7 to reach these new heights? We'll tell you right after we thank Videocom. Your palette link uses a little trick called PAM3, and that's not the stuff you spray on your pans so the tater tots don't stick. It's pulse amplitude modulation. In PAM3, each clock cycle can have 3 voltage states, positive 1, negative 1, or 0. Each sequence of 2 cycles encodes 3 bits of data. For example, a negative 1 followed by a positive 1 corresponds to the bits 0, 1, 0. In this way, each clock cycle encodes 1.5 bits of data instead of just a single bit. But you're a savvy viewer, and maybe you already know that the current top-end video memory, GDDR6X, actually supports PAM4. I mean, isn't that better? 4 is a bigger number than 3, I think, maybe. Well, it's only better to a point. PAM4's encoding scheme actually delivers 2 bits per cycle, making it faster than PAM3 on paper, but there are some drawbacks. 4 possible states per cycle means that there's a greater chance for errors in data transmission, and to compensate for this, you need more error correction functionality as well as a new physical design and different memory controllers. All of these things increase both the cost and the power consumption, not to mention that GDDR6X can only operate in PAM4 mode when data is being sent in 8-byte bursts, instead of the more standard 16 bytes, meaning GDDR6X can actually have less bandwidth overall in real-world scenarios. Put all this together, and GDDR7 is supposed to give us more bandwidth while being more energy efficient than GDDR6X. Not to mention it can switch off PAM3 when it's not needed, and instead use the 1 bit per cycle NRZ scheme. But when are we actually going to see it in our graphics cards? The answer is probably late 2024, as that's when we're due for another major GPU refresh from both AMD and Nvidia. And reports are already out that Nvidia may be planning to use GDDR7 for its upcoming RTX 5000 GPU series, which I will definitely be buying as long as I can sell a couple of my organs first. Thanks for watching, guys. Like, dislike, check out some of our other videos, and comment with video suggestions down below, and don't forget to subscribe and follow.
Transformer neural networks most beautifully illustrated through the large language models like GPT-4.
Like everybody else, we're all, I'm surprised at how far they've come. I'm a little bit nervous about there's anxiety around them, obviously, for I think good reasons, right? Disinformation is a curse that's an unintended consequence of social media that could be exacerbated with these tools. And so if you use them to deploy disinformation, it could be a real risk. But I also think that the risks associated with these kinds of models don't have a whole lot to do with the way we're going to use them in our robots. If I'm using a robot, I'm building a robot to do, a manual task of some sort. I can judge very easily. Is it doing the task I asked it to? Is it doing it correctly? There's sort of a built-in mechanism for judging. Is it doing the right thing? Did it successfully do the task?
Yeah, physical reality is a good verifier.
It's a good verifier. That's exactly it. Whereas if you're asking for, I don't know, you're trying to ask a theoretical question in ChatGPT, it could be true or it may not be true. And it's hard to have that verifier. What is that truth that you're comparing against? Whereas in physical reality, you know the truth. And this is an important difference. And so I think there is reason to be a little bit concerned about, how these tools, large language models could be used, but I'm not very worried about how they're going to be used. Well, how learning algorithms in general are going to be used on robotics. It's really a different application that has different ways of verifying what's going on.
Well, the nice thing about language models is that I ultimately see, I'm really excited about the possibility of having conversations with bots.
Yeah.
There's no, I would say, negative consequences to that, but just increasing the bandwidth and the variety of ways you can communicate with this particular robot.
Yeah.
So you could communicate visually, you can communicate through some interface, and to be able to communicate verbally, again, with the beer and so on. I think that's really exciting to make that much, much easier.
We have this partner, Levitas, that's adding the vision algorithms for gauge reading for us. They just this week, I saw a demo where they hooked up, a language tool to Spot, and they're talking to Spot to give it commands. Yeah.
Can you tell me about the Boston Dynamics AI Institute? What is it, and what is its mission?
So it's a separate organization, the Boston Dynamics Artificial Intelligence Institute. It's led by Mark Rayburn, the founder of Boston Dynamics and the former CEO, and my old advisor at MIT. Mark has always loved the research, the pure research, without the confinement or demands of commercialization. And he wanted to continue to, pursue that unadulterated research. And so suggested to Hyundai that he set up this institute, and they agree that it's worth additional investment to kind of continue pushing this forefront. And we expect to be working together where Boston Dynamics is going to both commercialize and do research. But the sort of time horizon of the research we're going to do is, in the next, let's say, 5 years. What can we do in the next 5 years? Let's work on those problems. And I think the goal of the AI Institute is to work even further out. Certainly, the analogy of legged locomotion again, when we started that was a multi-decade problem. And so I think Mark wants to have the freedom to pursue really hard over-the-horizon problems. And that'll be the goal of the Institute.